born into a script you didn't choose, a body shaped by ancient bloodlines, a mind conditioned by other people's fears. Before you ever opened your mouth, you were handed an identity, like a mask you didn't design, and they told you this is who you are. That's physical heredity. It's your height, your skin, your face, your voice. It's the architecture of your vessel, and it's not your fault. You don't get to choose the body you're born into, but you do get to choose the power that body holds. And make no mistake, your power was never in your genes. It was buried in your will. But there's a deeper enemy, one that's more subtle, more dangerous, one that crawls in quietly and takes root in your mind, like poison ivy spreading through a forgotten garden. Social heredity. This is the second birth, the invisible inheritance, not the DNA in your blood, but the beliefs in your head. You were taught what to fear, what to believe, what was normal, what was realistic, what was possible for someone like you. And you believed it, because they said it with confidence. You saw it lived out by the people who raised you, taught you, hurt you, ignored you. But here's the brutal truth. If you don't question it, you'll become it. You'll live a life that wasn't yours. You'll carry trauma that wasn't earned. You'll obey rules that were never meant for your evolution, but for your containment. You'll become a ghost wearing someone else's chains. That's the price of neglecting the reprogramming. And it's steep. Because if you do not challenge the beliefs passed down to you, you will slowly suffocate in a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. You will wake up at 40, 50, 60, realizing you never lived for you. You lived as a reflection, a mirror, a puppet, a product. You'll tell stories to yourself like, well, it wasn't in the cards for me. When the truth is, you never dared to shuffle the deck. But if you do, if you have the courage to question, everything changes. Because the moment you realize that your beliefs were installed, you also realize they can be uninstalled. That is the beginning of true transformation. So what's at stake? Everything. If you refuse to reprogram your mind, you'll parent your children with the same wounds that broke you. You'll die with potential that rotted inside you. You'll chase freedom, but carry cages in your head. But if you choose to rewrite your script, you become the one who breaks generational curses. You become the architect of your own destiny. You become the outlier, the rebel, the leader your bloodline has never seen. You don't need to hate your past to outgrow it, but you must stop worshiping it. Burn the old blueprint. Not out of resentment, but out of respect for the future you're building. You see, the ones who conditioned you, they weren't evil. Most of them were unaware. They were doing what they were taught. Now you've been called to rise above it. That's what makes this moment sacred. You are the first in your lineage to realize that beliefs can be chosen. So what are you choosing? Every moment you obey a belief without examining it, you hand your power to a ghost. And every time you say, "That's just the way I am," you seal your fate with invisible chains. But today can be different. Today you look at your beliefs like weapons and ask, are you building me or breaking me? Are you sharpening me or dulling me? Because if the answer is breaking, it's time to bury it and forge something better, something intentional, something earned, something real. You were born into a story, but you were not sentenced to stay in it, and no one's coming to rewrite it for you. You are the only one who can pull the pen out of the wreckage and bleed new ink onto these pages. They told you who you were. But now it's your turn. Your turn to choose who you become. Your turn to choose what beliefs live in your mind. Your turn to choose how far you go. You can die a mirror or rise a flame. One path is ease and decay. The other is war and freedom. The choice has always been yours. Now choose. You've got your own fire to walk through. So why are you dragging other people's shadows into it? Empathy is a gift, but absorption is a curse. And most people, good people, don't know the difference. You grew up being told to be kind, to care, to help, to listen. But no one taught you where to draw the line. So you became a sponge, soaking up other people's sorrow, stress, and self-inflicted storms. And now, you're drowning in problems that aren't even yours. You think being strong means carrying everyone else. But strength isn't measured in how many people you can drag. It's measured in how many you can lift, without losing yourself. That's the razor's edge. Because you weren't built to absorb every wound that bleeds near you. You weren't born to be the emotional landfill of everyone's unchecked chaos. You were born to lead. And leaders don't absorb pain. They transmute it. They don't collapse when someone brings them drama or grief. They stay centered, grounded, unmoved. They hold the mirror up. They offer the wisdom. They extend the hand. But they never let another's poison enter their bloodstream. And make no mistake, if you don't draw that line, you will pay for it. You will carry burdens you didn't earn. You will lose sleep over storms that were never yours to tame. You will cry tears that belong to someone else's past. And while you try to fix everyone else's life, your own will start to decay. Your peace will rot. Your dreams will rust. Your fire will dim. Not because you're weak, but because you forgot your limits. You thought compassion meant consumption. You thought helping meant hurting with them. No, that's not strength. That's self-destruction. Let me remind you what true power looks like. Power is holding space for the broken, without becoming broken. Power is witnessing suffering, without losing your clarity. Power is knowing when to listen and when to step away. Because here's the truth that few are willing to face. You can't save people who are addicted to their pain. You can't fix people who are committed to the chaos. You can only show them the path and let them decide if they'll walk it. If they don't, that's their journey, not yours. So what's at stake? If you don't protect your emotional borders, you will be dragged into a war that isn't yours. You will become a casualty in a battle you never chose to fight. You'll find yourself constantly tired, and you won't know why. Your own goals will rot in the shadows of their drama. You'll wake up one day carrying 1,000 weights, none of which belong to you. You'll become bitter, resentful. You'll start to hate the very people you once tried to help because they drained you dry. But the truth is, you handed them the siphon. But if you choose differently, if you choose to love people without absorbing them, you gain something priceless: emotional independence, a mind that's your own, a heart that remains open but guarded, a soul that can serve without suffering, a presence that uplifts but never collapses. You stop being a sponge, and you become a lighthouse, stable, silent, unmoved, guiding others out of their storm, but never entering it yourself. You shine, regardless of who's sinking. That is the way of the strong. So ask yourself, whose weight are you carrying right now that doesn't belong to you? Whose chaos lives rent-free in your head? Who convinced you that being helpful meant being hurt? It's time to return what was never yours. It's time to draw the line and burn it into your mind. I help people rise, but I don't sink to do it. That's not selfish. That's survival. That's strategy. And it's the only way to last in a world that will drown you with needs if you let it. You were not born to be everyone's shelter. You were born to build your own foundation first. So let the tears fall. Let the sob stories pour. Listen. Speak truth. Offer strength. But never, ever, let their storm extinguish your flame. You are not their savior. You are the signal. Be the proof that it's possible to rise without sinking for anyone. And the ones ready to rise will follow your light. The rest, let them sleep in their storms. You've got mountains to build. Your mind is a weapon, and like any weapon, it obeys the hand that wields it. The only question is this: what are you aiming it at? Because whether you realize it or not, every moment of your life, you are practicing a form of meditation. Most people just don't know it. They think meditation is sitting cross-legged in silence, but that's a fraction of the truth. Your focus is your meditation. What you give your attention to grows. What you feed lives. What you starve dies. So let me ask you, what have you been feeding? Have you been feeding your fears? Feeding doubt? Feeding comparisons, complaints, or chaos? Or have you been starving your potential by constantly entertaining distractions? Checking your phone every 5 minutes? Scrolling through highlights of other people's lives? Drowning in news, in gossip, in outrage? Let me be blunt. If you look for pain, you will find it. If you look for injustice, for proof that the world is against you, you'll find that too. And it'll bury you. But if you dare to look for progress, if you train your eyes to seek solutions instead of setbacks, if you condition your mind to see opportunity in the middle of disaster, you become unstoppable because the world hasn't changed. You have. And what's at stake if you don't? Everything. If you continue to let your mind drift without direction, you'll become the sum of your distractions. You'll wake up anxious, overwhelmed, reactive, chasing 1,000 outcomes, achieving none. You'll become a slave to outside noise, to the storms of other people's chaos. Worse, you'll become addicted to negativity, addicted to worry, addicted to the act of seeking out pain just to feel alive. And you'll call it realism. But it's not realism. It's sabotage. Because every time you say, "I'm just being realistic," while focusing on fear, failure, and what could go wrong, you're building a cage, bar by bar, thought by thought. And every cage becomes a coffin when you forget the door is open. But there's another way, a harder way, a better way. It begins with ruthless focus. It begins when you decide, not hope, not wish, but decide that your mind will serve you, not haunt you. It begins when you lock your vision on what you want, not what you fear. Because what you focus on, you attract. And more importantly, what you focus on, you become. Focus on fear long enough, you become a coward. Focus on anger long enough, you become a victim of your own rage. Focus on guilt, regret, shame, you become paralyzed, frozen in a moment that's long since passed. But focus on discipline, you become relentless. Focus on growth, you become dangerous. Focus on the solution, not the setback, You become a creator of outcomes. Your mind is not the problem. Your focus is. So how do you fix it? Not with willpower alone. You fix it by building a habit of focus, by rewiring your mental lens every damn day. That means you wake up and define your target. You train your mind to filter out the noise. You choose what thoughts to feed and which ones to starve. You filter your environment. You guard your attention like it's sacred, because it is. And you stop giving power to every fear that walks through the door of your consciousness. You let fear knock, but you don't let it in. That's the difference between a victim and a warrior. The victim becomes what they fear. The warrior becomes what they focus on. So let me ask you again, what are you aiming your mind at? What are you building day after day with your thoughts? Because every second you spend thinking about what's wrong is a second stolen from what could be right. Every time you give your focus to fear, you rob your future of fire. And every time you think you're being careful, when you're really just being negative, you are practicing weakness. You want power? Then, master the skill no one talks about. Deliberate focus. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. But it separates the free from the shackled, the warrior from the wanderer, the master from the lost. So starting now, starve the thoughts that hurt you. Silence the noise that distracts you. Break the loop of fear-based thinking, and forge a mind that locks on the target, the goal, the outcome, the higher path. Because in this world, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you focus on. And if you can hold that focus, unshakable, unbroken, unrelenting, there is no reality you cannot build, no cage you cannot break, no future you cannot shape. But it begins now, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it. Now, because what you focus on becomes your fate. So focus wisely. Your body is not just flesh and blood. It is a mirror. It reflects the condition of your spirit. And there's a truth no doctor will tell you. A truth deeper than diet, stronger than medicine, and more vital than sleep. The body dies when the soul starves. Hope isn't a luxury. It's not some fluffy feel-good daydream. Hope is survival. Hope is biological. Hope is the fuel that keeps your cells multiplying, your heart beating, and your body fighting to stay alive. People talk about health like it's just calories, supplements, and gym memberships. And yes, those things matter. But let me ask you something darker, something real. What happens when you stop caring if you live? What happens when you wake up with nothing to aim for, no reason to move, no spark to chase? You decay. Your immune system weakens. Your energy flatlines. Your posture caves. Your mind fills with fog. Your breath becomes shallow. And your body begins to prepare for death. Not because of disease, not because of age, but because you've convinced it there's no reason to fight. Hope is the signal that says, we're not done yet. It's not just emotional, it's chemical. It triggers resilience. It releases healing. It sharpens your mind. It strengthens your body. But here's the truth most can't handle. Hope must be earned. It doesn't fall from the sky. It must be forged. And if you don't fight for it, you will slip into a slow, invisible death. Not a funeral, a fade. Your soul will die while your body still walks. So what's at stake? Everything. Lose hope, and you lose health. You lose power. You lose the will to do anything that matters. And it starts so quietly. You stop setting goals. You stop moving with intensity. You stop taking care of yourself. You stop believing that tomorrow could be better than today. That's when sickness creeps in. That's when your body begins to mirror your despair. Because the body isn't just obeying your habits, it's obeying your mindset. If your mind sees no purpose, your body will obey. But if you change the signal, if you dare to believe there's something worth fighting for again, you come back to life. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Your breath deepens, your muscles wake up, your senses sharpen, your spine straightens, your eyes light up, not from caffeine, but from vision. Because now your body has a reason to endure. So where do you find that kind of hope? You create it. You pick a target, a mission, a reason, a fire, something bigger than your excuses. And you pour your life into it. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need it to matter. Because once you anchor yourself to something meaningful, your body stops breaking, and it starts building. It starts aligning itself with survival again, not just to exist, but to win. But beware. False hope is poison. Hope in things that don't matter, pleasing others, chasing attention, following trends, will leave you even more hollow than despair. You must hope for something sacred, a life of power, a mind of clarity, a body of strength, a soul of fire. Hope for yourself, fully awakened, fully alive, and free from the chains of mediocrity. So I ask you now, what's your reason to rise? What is your why? The one that makes you breathe deeper when you speak it out loud. What future are you willing to crawl toward? Bloody, broken, exhausted, but unwilling to give up on. Find it. Because until you do, your body is just a shell waiting for a signal. And once that signal hits, once you flood your mind with purpose, healing begins. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, existentially. You become the type of person the world cannot break because you refuse to break yourself. Hope is not soft. Hope is steel. It's what keeps warriors walking when their legs are shattered. It's what keeps visionaries building when the world laughs. It's what keeps you alive, even when death whispers in your ear. But you must choose it. Not once. Every day. Feed the will to live, and your body will thank you in strength. You want more power? You want more freedom? Then stop ignoring the power you already have. Because here's the truth. You've been walking around with a sword in your hand, but your eyes are locked on the chains. You don't see the weapon. You don't see the fire. You don't see the miracle of waking up free. Look around you. You can speak your truth. You can build something from nothing. You can reject the lies they taught you. You can pray to your God, or no God at all. You can cast a vote, shape a future, start over, fight back, rise up. And still, you complain. You scroll your life away. You drown in envy. You rage at the system, at the world, at the things you don't have. While the greatest treasure you do have sits unnoticed, right in front of you. Freedom. It's not loud. It doesn't beg for your attention. It doesn't scream like your feed or flash like your phone, but it's always there. And if you don't appreciate it, it will rot. Not because someone took it from you, but because you forgot what it was worth. Gratitude is not weakness. It's alignment. Gratitude is what tunes your mind to reality. Gratitude is what keeps you from begging the world for power. 'Cause it reminds you already have it. So what's at stake if you don't? If you ignore what you've been given? If you take your voice, your breath, your time, your choices for granted? You slip into blindness, and that's the start of the collapse. You start to feel powerless, not because you are, but because you can't see the power in your hands. You start to chase noise, clout, comfort, control, and none of it satisfies you. Because you've disconnected from the source. Gratitude. The most dangerous person is not the one with the most freedom. It's the one who knows they're free and gives thanks for it. Because that gratitude sharpens their vision. It aligns them with higher intelligence. It burns away entitlement. It makes them hungry without being blind, driven without being bitter, humble but unbreakable. So what is gratitude really? It's not just saying, thank you. It's presence. It's awareness. It's warrior-level mindfulness. It's looking around at your life, even if it's hard, and saying, I'm still here. I still get to fight. I still get to choose how this ends. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you strive with clarity. It means you don't chase success out of lack, but out of abundance. It means you don't resent the world for what you don't have. You thank it for what you do, and build from there. Let me say this plain. If you're breathing, you're blessed. If you're free to think, you're dangerous. And if you're aware of it, you're unstoppable. But gratitude must be practiced. Not once, not twice, daily. When you wake up, you say, thank you for another chance to sharpen myself. Thank you for the pain. It's showing me where to grow. Thank you for the quiet. I can hear my inner voice again. You look at your freedom, not as a given, but as a sacred responsibility. You don't waste it. You don't forget it. You honor it with every step you take. So what do you do now? You stop wishing for more power, and you start respecting the power you already hold. The power to wake up and redirect your life. The power to walk away from lies. The power to speak, to serve, to build, to believe. And the most overlooked power of all, the power to choose your mindset. Gratitude is the doorway to higher intelligence. It quiets the noise. It opens your ears to whispers from the divine. It puts you in alignment with your highest path. Not because life got easier, but because you finally realized how much you already had. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're just forgetful. But now you remember. Now you see the gift. Now you feel the fire. So carry this truth with you. Gratitude is power you've forgotten. Remember it, and nothing can stop you. You're not broke because you lack money. You're broke because you're bleeding time. And here's the brutal truth. Time is the only wealth you truly own. Everything else can be stolen, inherited, gifted, or burned. But time is the great equalizer. You, me, the rich, the poor. All of us get the same 24-hour deposit every single day. And most people spend it like it's nothing. Let's break it down. 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work. That leaves 8 hours unchained. 8 hours of pure, raw freedom. But ask yourself, what are you doing with those 8 hours? Be honest. Are you building something? Are you sharpening yourself? Or are you numbing out in front of a screen, telling yourself you're tired? Because here's the catch. Those 8 hours, that's your real life. Not the sleep, not the job. It's what you do when no one is forcing you. That's who you really are. You want a better future? It's not going to come from a miracle. It's not going to come from waiting. It's going to come from how you use your time when no one's watching. Those free hours are your laboratory, your forge, your gym, your library, your battlefield. And every hour you waste is a strike against your future self. Because what you don't use, you lose. Not just in opportunity, but in confidence. Every time you waste an hour, you teach your brain you don't take your future seriously. And over time, your mind stops believing in your power. You drift, and eventually, you decay. That's what's at stake. Your dreams die, not in one catastrophic blow, but in quiet, unnoticed, daily neglect. A little comfort here, a little procrastination there, and one day, you wake up wondering where your life went, and you'll try to tell yourself, I didn't have time. I was too busy. I was too tired. No, you just gave your freedom away. You handed over the hours that could have built a kingdom in exchange for cheap pleasure and mental junk food. But there's another way, a way few choose, the path of the time warrior. This is the one who guards every hour like gold, the one who wakes up knowing those 8 free hours are their weapon, and they sharpen it every damn day. They know that in those hours, you can build a business, learn a new language, master a craft, train your body, heal your trauma, read 50 books, study the psychology of success, network with powerful minds, and shape a future that terrifies the average, all in the same amount of time others spend binge-watching someone else's life. So what do you want? Freedom, respect, power, peace? Then don't just wish for it. Schedule it. Work for it. Earn it in the hours that belong to you. Because if you don't use them, someone else will. Every application, every advertisement, every show, they're all competing for the hours that should be building your legacy. Let me be clear. Your destiny is not created by the 8 hours you work. That just pays the bills. Your destiny is forged in the time no one sees. The quiet time, the lonely time, the hours when it's easier to relax, but you choose to rise. That's where the separation happens. That's where you go from average to elite, from wandering to weaponized, from existing to ascending. So what now? Look at your day. Tear it apart. Study it like a general plans a war. Because that's exactly what this is. A war for your time. And the world will take it from you unless you draw the line and say, these hours are mine, and I will use them to build the version of me that no one sees coming. This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now, because your time is bleeding out, and there's no refund coming. So honor it. Guard it. Use it like your future depends on it. Because it does. You think money is the problem? It's not. Lack of control is the real disease. And it doesn't just infect your wallet. It infects your time, your mind, your future. Most people aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because they bleed what they earn. They don't track it. They don't protect it. They don't respect it. And time, they kill it, waste it, give it away like it means nothing. But then they cry when life doesn't reward them. Let me break the illusion. You are either a master of your resources or a slave to your impulses. There is no in between. Every dollar you spend, every hour you waste, tells the story of your future. And the question is, are you writing that story with strategy? Or are you letting your emotions scribble all over your destiny? Budgeting is not punishment. It's protection. It's not about being cheap. It's about being dangerous with discipline. It's about knowing exactly where your time and money are going and why. Because if you don't know where it's going, it's already gone. If you don't control it, Someone else does. You think this world rewards the undisciplined? No. It eats them alive. So, what's at stake? Everything. If you don't learn to budget your time and your money, you'll stay stuck in the cycle. Working to survive. Spending to numb. Wasting time to forget. Starting over every month. Broke, tired, and confused. You'll never build wealth. You'll never build peace. You'll never break free. Because you never took control. And that's the raw truth. Freedom belongs to the disciplined. But if you rise, if you build a strategy, you become dangerous. You begin to protect what others throw away. You allocate money for protection, not just pleasures. You build a financial wall around your future. You invest in what grows. Yourself, your health, your mind, your mission. You schedule your days with military precision, not because you're a machine, but because you refuse to waste your life chasing fires you could have prevented. You budget because you respect the battlefield. And warriors don't show up to war unarmed. You need a plan. You need rules. Here's the brutal truth. Every dollar you earn is a soldier. You either give those soldiers orders, or you watch them desert you. And every hour you own is a blade. You either sharpen it, or you hand it to the enemy. So what now? Simple. You sit down, and you face the truth. How much time are you wasting? How much money are you bleeding? You write it down. You map it out. You study your life like a strategist planning a siege. Because that's what this is. You are laying siege to the old version of you. The impulsive version. The disorganized version. The version that reacts instead of rules. And you destroy them. Not with emotion, but with structure. Structure is not your enemy. It is your freedom plan. A real budget doesn't restrict you. It releases you. It frees your mind. It builds your future. It gives your dreams teeth. You're not budgeting to survive. You're budgeting to conquer. Because when your time and money are under your command, so is your destiny. Let me make this clear. If you don't respect the small resources, you'll never be trusted with the large ones. If you can't manage $100, you won't keep 100,000. If you can't manage 24 hours, you'll never master your life. So build the system. Build the fortress. Track every dollar. Guard every hour. And move through life like a tactician, not a beggar. This is how you win. Not with luck, not with talent, but with command. Because your wealth isn't just in your bank account. It's in how well you manage what you already have. So budget with intention, build with strategy, and walk like a warrior who owns their life, because they planned it that way. You think power is flashy. You think it roars, shines, commands attention. No. Real power whispers. Real power saves. Real power hides in the shadows, multiplying while the loud ones burn. You've been lied to. You've been trained to spend for validation, to buy respect, to prove your worth by what's on your wrist, your feet, your feed. But here's the truth. The one who spends to look rich stays broke. The one who saves in silence builds empires. Frugality is not poverty. It's strategy. It's discipline in its purest form. It's the art of withholding from the world until you're ready to strike. And if you don't master it, if you keep leaking every dollar that comes into your hand, you will be owned. Owned by debt. Owned by fear. Owned by the need to keep up with people who are just as broken as you. Because money isn't just paper. It's stored energy. It's your time, your labor, your focus, converted into fuel. And if you burn it all on distractions, You'll have nothing left to fuel your future. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. You think you'll save when you make more? You won't. Because if you can't save a dime, you won't save a dollar. And if you won't save a dollar, you'll never keep 1,000. Frugality isn't a financial condition. It's a mental one. So what's at stake? If you don't build the habit, you will become a prisoner to your lifestyle. You will raise your income and raise your expenses to match it. You will look successful and be one emergency away from collapse. That car you financed, that brand you flexed, that trip you posted, they'll mean nothing when your bank account hits zero and the people cheering you on are gone. Frugality is what saves you when everything else fails. But if you embrace it, if you choose to look poor to build wealth, if you choose to delay gratification, to live below, to stack slow and silent, you become lethal. You move through the world free from desperation. You no longer need to impress. You no longer fear downturns. You no longer react to scarcity because you've already prepared for it. Frugality is financial martial arts. It's the ability to absorb blows and strike when it counts. You want to be rich? Then stop acting like you're already there. Act like a builder. Act like a strategist. Act like someone who knows every penny has a purpose. Save something, even if it's 1 penny per dollar, even if it's a coin in a jar, because it's not about the amount. It's about the habit, the identity. You're not saving money. You're building respect. Respect for yourself. Respect for your future. Respect for your mission. Let them laugh. Let them say you're cheap. Let them mock the old clothes, the simple car, the quiet moves. Because one day, they'll ask how you did it. And you'll smile, knowing you were saving when they were spending. You were planning when they were partying. You were building when they were burning. And now you move with quiet power, the kind they'll never see coming. Frugality isn't weakness. It's warrior instinct. It's the discipline to say no, not because you can't, but because you're waiting for something greater. And when the time is right, you won't need to flash. Your results will speak louder than any receipt ever could. You were not built to punch in, check out, and die. You were not put here just to collect a paycheck, to survive another week, to sell your soul 8 hours at a time while something inside of you rots. You were meant to create, to serve, to build something sacred. And until your work becomes your offering, you will feel like something is missing. Because something is. Let's be real. Most people hate their job. They drag themselves through the week. Numb on Mondays, relieved on Fridays, desperate on Sundays. They live for the weekend and die during the week. But here's the truth they never want to face. It's not the job that's killing them. It's the way they see the job. They work like slaves instead of creators. They grind like victims instead of warriors. They forget that how you work shapes who you become. So what's at stake if you don't shift? Everything. If your work remains a burden, you'll carry it in your posture. You'll carry it in your eyes. You'll bring it home. You'll take it out on your family. You'll fall asleep drained and wake up hollow. Because when your hands move without your heart, your soul begins to shut down. That's the hidden epidemic. People going numb, not from exhaustion, but from disconnection. They stopped seeing purpose in what they do. They stopped believing their work mattered. And so, they stopped showing up fully. But there's another way. And it's not about quitting your job or chasing a fantasy. It's about reclaiming your work, turning your daily labor into a ritual of power, a spiritual discipline, a sacred act of creation, a daily war cry that says, "This is who I am." Because when you flip that switch, when you decide to serve through your work, you transcend fatigue. You tap into flow. You become a conduit. You stop working for money and start working for meaning. And ironically, that's when the money starts to follow. Work must become a labor of love. Not because it's easy, not because every task is fun, but because every act, no matter how small, can be done with intention. Every action can become a ceremony. A carpenter doesn't just cut wood, he builds the future. A janitor doesn't just clean, he protects dignity. A soldier doesn't just follow orders, he stands for honor. And you don't just work. You contribute, you create, you elevate. And when you do, fulfillment takes root. Not from praise, not from results, but from the knowing that you gave your all. So how do you make the shift? Start with this. Stop asking, what am I getting? Start asking, who am I becoming? Because the goal of work isn't just wealth, it's worth. It's the slow, disciplined alchemy that forges your character. It's where you master patience, where you sharpen excellence, where you learn to give, even when it's thankless. This is how warriors are made. In the repetition, in the struggle, in the quiet decision to bring honor to every movement, even when no one sees it. You want peace? Make your work sacred. You want strength? Let your work be your prayer. You want legacy? Let your work speak long after you're gone. Because in the end, it's not what you did that people remember. It's how you did it. It's the energy you poured, the intention you carried, the spirit behind every task you touched. So wake up, stand tall, approach your day not as a prisoner, but as a priest, a warrior of routine, a monk of momentum, a soul who refuses to waste one more hour doing things mindlessly. Your work is not the enemy. Your attitude is. And when you conquer that, you don't just earn, you evolve. You think you're in control? You're not. Not fully. Not yet. Because there's a force far older than you, stronger than willpower, more relentless than discipline, and more indifferent than time. It doesn't care what you want. It only obeys what you repeat. It's called cosmic habit force. And whether you understand it or not, it owns you. It's the invisible engine of your life, a silent law that takes every thought you repeat, every action you tolerate, every belief you reinforce, and it locks them in. Not because it hates you, not because it loves you, but because that's how reality is built. You want to change? You better start fighting gravity. Because once your habits are claimed by this force, they become automatic, like clockwork, like machinery, like fate. That's why you keep going back to the same self-destructive behaviors, why you fall into the same patterns, with the same people, repeating the same mistakes. It's not because you're cursed. It's because you trained yourself to lose. You programmed your own decay through repetition, and now the force is just following orders. So what's at stake? Your entire life. If you don't take conscious control over your habits, if you don't reprogram your routines, if you don't interrupt the pattern, this force will bury you. It will crystallize your mediocrity. It will normalize your failure. It will turn your fears into identity. And you will become the echo of everything you never questioned. Not because you wanted it, but because you repeated it. But here's the other side. If you rise, if you fight, if you consciously choose what to repeat, this same force becomes your ally, your servant, your weapon. It will make greatness automatic. It will make excellence instinctual. It will make power feel natural. Because this law doesn't care what path you choose. It only cares that you repeat it. So you have two options. Let this force run your life by default, or master it with intention. You become the architect of your mind. You install the thoughts that serve you. You enforce the behaviors that empower you. You burn the habits that break you. And you do it again, and again, and again, until the force takes over and says, "Understood. I'll make this permanent." Because here's the secret. Repetition is prayer. Repetition is command. Repetition is law. The mind doesn't follow what you wish. It follows what you repeat. So if you keep telling yourself you're broken, you will be. If you keep acting like you have no time, you'll waste what little you do have. If you keep blaming, avoiding, numbing, the force will wrap those actions in steel and lock you inside them until you forget that you were ever free. But if you rise, if you repeat discipline instead of distraction, if you practice strength instead of sympathy, if you forge intention into your thoughts every single day, you become unstoppable. Because now you've hacked the system. Now the force works for you, not against you. Now you don't have to think about being great. You just are. By habit, by rhythm, by design. So ask yourself, what are you repeating right now that's building your prison? What thoughts? What lies? What daily actions are being carved into stone by your own indifference? And then ask, what could you repeat instead that would set you free? Because freedom isn't found in the grand gesture. It's forged in the small repetition. The workout you do anyway. The dollar you save anyway. The boundary you hold anyway. The vision you return to, again and again and again, until it becomes law. This is the truth. You are not what you think. You are what you repeat. And this force, the cosmic habit force, will obey you. But first, you must earn its loyalty. You must train it to serve your higher self, not with hope, not with hype, but with grit, focus, and relentless intention. So repeat the right things, burn them into your blood, and let the force carry you where willpower alone never could. This is your law now. Use it, or be used by it. You've just been handed the keys to something ancient, something unforgiving, and unstoppable. These aren't just ideas. These are weapons. And if you wield them, they will reshape everything about you. You now know the truth. You are not your body. Physical heredity gave you a vessel, but you're the force within it. You are not your past. Social heredity handed you patterns, but you can break them. You cannot carry everyone's burdens. Empathy does not mean emotional slavery. Learn to help without absorbing. What you focus on becomes your world. Your attention is your compass, so aim it at power, not pain. Hope is fuel. Without it, your body decays. With it, you become unstoppable. Freedom is already yours. Gratitude for that freedom connects you to higher purpose and higher clarity. Time is your only true currency. How you use your 8 free hours will determine your fate. Budget both time and money. Without control, you will become a servant to chaos. Frugality is power. If you can't save when you have little, you won't save when you have more. Work is not a curse. It's a ritual, a sacred act. Make it holy, and you will never burn out again. Cosmic habit. Force controls everything. Repetition becomes reality. You are training your future, whether you know it or not. You are the only creature that can rewrite itself. You are not bound by instinct. You can create new cycles, forge new habits, and rise from your own ashes. These are not concepts to memorize. They are disciplines to live. Because transformation doesn't happen once. It happens daily, through repetition, through clarity, through action. So now you know. You've been warned. You've been equipped. And you've been called. This is your edge. This is your rebirth. This is your rise. Now take these truths, bury the old self, and go become something unforgettable.